Number 1. The perfect broken tool. Darth Vader stands as the most iconic villain in cinema history, yet beneath that terrifying mask lies the galaxy's greatest failure, a man who couldn't succeed as either a Jedi or a Sith. Think about it. Anakin Skywalker was supposedly the chosen one, destined to bring balance to the Force. Instead, he became a cyborg middle manager, trapped between two philosophies he could never fully embrace. The tragedy isn't just that he fell, it's that, even after falling, he couldn't commit to the landing. From the moment Palpatine dubbed him Darth Vader on that fateful night in his office, Anakin became something unprecedented in Sith history. A perpetual apprentice with the power of a master, but the agency of a puppet. The Rule of Two, established by Darth Bane 1,000 years before the Clone Wars, demanded that the apprentice eventually surpass and destroy the master. That's literally the whole point. It keeps the Sith strong, evolving, growing more powerful with each generation. But Vader, he spent 23 years serving Emperor Palpatine without ever truly challenging his rule. The irony cuts deeper than a lightsaber through butter. Here was a being who possessed more raw Force potential than perhaps anyone in galactic history. Qui-Gon Jinn detected over 20,000 midi-chlorians in young Anakin's blood, higher than even Master Yoda. Yet that potential became his prison. The very power that should have made him unstoppable instead made him the perfect broken tool for Palpatine's empire. He was strong enough to enforce the Emperor's will across the galaxy, intimidating enough to keep systems in line, but psychologically shattered enough never to pose a real threat to his master's throne. Number 2. Never truly Sith. The Sith Code preaches passion, strength, power, and ultimately, freedom through victory. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. Beautiful words for a philosophy built on selfishness and ambition, right? But Vader embodied none of these principles authentically. His passion was corrupted by grief, his strength undermined by self-loathing, his power limited by his cybernetics, and his victories? They were Palpatine's victories, won by Palpatine's enforcer. Real Sith Lords throughout history, Darth Bane, Darth Plagueis, even Darth Maul in his own way, pursued power for its own sake. They craved domination, sought knowledge of the dark side's deepest secrets, and viewed the galaxy as their rightful domain. Vader's motivations were entirely different. He didn't turn to the dark side because he wanted ultimate power. He turned because he was terrified of losing Padme. Even after her death, his actions weren't driven by Sith philosophy, but by a toxic cocktail of guilt, rage, and the desperate need to justify his choices. Consider how Vader spent his time as a Sith Lord. While ancient Sith built temples and holocrons to preserve their knowledge, Vader created nothing lasting. He attended strategy meetings. He disciplined Imperial officers who disappointed him. Though, let's be honest, force-choking Admiral Ozzel for coming out of hyperspace too close to Hoth is more middle management energy than Dark Lord energy. The 2017 Darth Vader comic series by Charles Soule shows us a Vader who goes through the motions of being a Sith, bleeding his kyber crystal, hunting Jedi, but it's all performance, lacking the genuine conviction that defines a true Sith Lord. Number 3. The Apprentice Eternal, 23 years. That's how long Vader served as Palpatine's apprentice without ever seriously attempting to overthrow him. In Sith terms, that's not just unusual, it's pathetic. The Rule of Two isn't a suggestion. It's the fundamental structure that kept the Sith Order alive and growing stronger for a millennium. Darth Plagueis trained Palpatine for decades, yes, but Palpatine was actively plotting his master's demise from day one, finally murdering him the night before becoming Supreme Chancellor. That's how it's supposed to work. Vader's few half-hearted attempts at replacing Palpatine revealed just how uncommitted he was to the Sith way. In The Empire Strikes Back, he proposes to Luke that they could rule the galaxy as father and son. But even this comes across less as a power grab and more as a desperate attempt to reclaim some shadow of the family he destroyed. The Marvel Comics series shows us Vader occasionally testing potential apprentices. The corrupted Jedi Kirak Infila's lightsaber became his red blade, but he never trained anyone in the Sith arts. The brutal truth is that Mustafar broke more than Vader's body. When Obi-Wan left him burning on that lava bank, Anakin lost significant Force potential, according to George Lucas himself. His midi-chlorian count, that record-breaking number that once exceeded Master Yoda's, was now distributed through a body that was more machine than man. The suit that kept him alive also kept him prisoner. Its life support systems were deliberately primitive, the cybernetics intentionally painful. Palpatine designed it that way. ensuring his apprentice would be strong enough to be useful, but never strong enough to be a threat, and Vader knew it. Deep down, he understood he could never defeat Palpatine in direct combat, so he didn't really try. A true Sith would have found another way. Poison, betrayal, manipulation. Vader just accepted it. Number 4. Chains of attachment. The Jedi Code warns against attachment, and ironically, it was Vader's inability to let go that proved them right, just not in the way they expected. Even as a Sith Lord, Vader remained shackled to his past, unable to embrace the dark side's promise of freedom through victory. His meditation chamber aboard the Executor wasn't filled with Sith artifacts or dark side texts. According to the canon reference book, Star Wars, Complete Locations, it was a sterile life support station where he could briefly remove his mask and remember what he'd lost. Every significant action Vader took was colored by his attachments. His obsession with finding Luke Skywalker after the Battle of Yavin wasn't about eliminating a threat to the Empire. It was about the son he thought he'd killed along with Padme. His rage toward Obi-Wan wasn't pure Sith hatred, but the complicated fury of a student who felt betrayed by a mentor, a brother wounded by a brother. Even his relationship with Palpatine was warped by attachment. Not love, but a twisted dependence born from having nowhere else to go, no one else who would accept what he'd become. If this exploration of Star Wars' most tragic villain is hitting harder than a Death Star super laser, smash that hype button to boost this video to more fans across the galaxy. Your support helps us keep diving deep into Star Wars lore. Number 5. Power without purpose. A true Sith Lord channels their power toward a singular purpose: domination, knowledge, or transcendence. Darth Nihilus sought to consume all Force energy in the galaxy. Darth Sion sought to prove that will could overcome death itself. Palpatine sought eternal rule over a galaxy reshaped in his image. But what did Vader want? Nothing. He was power without purpose, a weapon without a war of his own to fight. The canon novel Lords of the Sith by Paul S. Kemp perfectly illustrates this hollow existence. When Vader and Palpatine crash land on Ryloth and face a massive resistance movement, we see Vader unleash devastating power, slaughtering rebels, predators, and anyone who stands in their way. But there's no joy in it, no satisfaction, no sense of achievement. He's going through the motions, playing the role of the Emperor's enforcer because he has nothing else. He doesn't build anything, doesn't create any lasting Sith legacy, doesn't even seem to enjoy the fear he inspires. This purposelessness extended to his relationship with the Force itself. While Sith Lords traditionally spent their time unlocking new dark side abilities, Plagueis manipulating midi-chlorians, Palpatine perfecting Force storms and essence transfer, Vader stagnated. His primary Force abilities remained largely what they were when he was Anakin: telekinesis, enhanced physicality, and precognition. He never developed unique Sith techniques or push the boundaries of what the dark side could do. In the 2020 Darth Vader comic run by Greg Pak, we see him uncover ancient Sith secrets on Exegol, but he doesn't seek to master them. He's just following orders, another assignment from his master. Even Vader's personal projects lack the ambition of a true Sith Lord. His castle on Mustafar, designed by the ancient Sith Lord Momin as revealed in the 2017 Darth Vader comics, was supposedly built to channel dark side energies that might resurrect Padme. But even this desperate scheme was more about undoing the past than forging a future. When the ritual failed, Vader didn't try again or seek alternative methods. He simply returned to his role as enforcer, a Sith in name only. Compare this to Palpatine, who spent those same decades building secret fleets, creating clone bodies, and establishing contingency plans across the unknown regions. One Sith Lord was building an eternal empire. The other was just marking time until death. Number 6. The conflicted warrior. Perhaps nothing illustrates Vader's failure as a Sith better than his constant internal conflict. The dark side demands commitment. You feed it your pain, your anger, your hatred, and it gives you power in return. But Vader could never fully commit because Anakin Skywalker never truly died. This wasn't metaphorical. Force sensitives could sense it, Luke could feel it. And most tellingly, Palpatine knew it and exploited it. The Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi gives us perhaps our clearest look at this internal war. When Vader confronts his former master, he claims, "I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." But it's a lie, he tells himself. A desperate attempt to bury the man he was. Minutes later, when Obi-Wan slices open his mask and we see both Anakin's face and Vader's voice modulator working simultaneously, the symbolism couldn't be clearer. Two identities trapped in one body, neither able to fully manifest. This conflict manifested in seemingly small but significant ways. Vader kept the Kyber crystal from Padme's Jaipur snippet. He couldn't bring himself to kill Ahsoka Tano when they faced each other on Malachor in Star Wars Rebels, even stating, "Then you will die," with hesitation that a true Sith would never show. He saved Luke's life multiple times when a true Sith would have either killed him or turned him immediately. Each moment of mercy was a crack in his Sith facade. The comic series Star Wars Darth Vader Dark Visions shows us how others perceived him as an unstoppable force of darkness, but we readers know the truth. He was a broken man, play-acting as a monster. The 2015 Marvel Darth Vader series reveals another telling detail. When Vader learns about Luke's existence, his first thought transmitted through the Force isn't anger at being lied to or joy at having an heir. It's simply, "I have a son." That possessive, paternal recognition cuts through 20 years of Sith indoctrination in an instant. Even more revealing is his immediate decision to hide this information from Palpatine, not out of Sith cunning, but from a protective instinct that belongs entirely to Anakin. True Sith Lords, like Darth Bane, killed their own family members without hesitation when they showed weakness. Vader spent the next 3 years secretly protecting Luke while pretending to hunt him, a fundamentally un-Sith deception born from love, not ambition. Number 7. Palpatine's greatest manipulation. Here's the twisted genius of Palpatine. He never wanted Vader to be a true Sith Lord. From the moment he began grooming young Anakin in The Phantom Menace, Palpatine wasn't looking for a successor. He was crafting the perfect tool. A true Sith Apprentice would eventually threaten his rule. But Anakin could be molded into something far more useful. A perpetually broken servant powerful enough to enforce his will, but too damaged to ever rebel. Think about every step of Anakin's fall. Palpatine didn't just turn him to the dark side. He systematically destroyed everything that could have made him a threat. He isolated Anakin from the Jedi, fed his ego while stoking his insecurities, and then engineered situations that would maximize his guilt and self-hatred. The promise to save Padme? Palpatine likely knew it was impossible. The tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise was carefully crafted manipulation, telling Anakin exactly what he needed to hear. He let Anakin kill younglings, ensuring he could never return to the light without facing unbearable guilt. He renamed him immediately, trying to bury Anakin Skywalker under a new identity. And when Anakin was mutilated on Mustafar, Palpatine saw opportunity, not tragedy. The suit Palpatine provided wasn't just life support, it was a prison. Canon sources confirm the suit was intentionally designed with obsolete technology. The neural needles caused constant pain. The respirator was loud and inefficient. The whole system was vulnerable to Force lightning, Palpatine's signature ability. Every aspect was calculated to keep Vader powerful enough to be useful, but dependent enough to never be free. The James Luceno novel Tarkin reveals another layer of manipulation. Palpatine deliberately kept Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin in competition, ensuring neither could accumulate too much power. He gave Vader just enough authority to feel important, but placed him under Tarkin's command aboard the Death Star. This wasn't poor organizational structure, it was brilliant psychological manipulation. A true Sith Apprentice would have killed Tarkin for the insult. Vader just accepted it. Another sign of his broken spirit. Palpatine even occasionally showed Vader mercy and understanding, creating a trauma bond that replaced the relationships Anakin had lost. The Emperor became father, mentor, and master all at once, the only constant in Vader's destroyed life. It's the same technique used by cult leaders throughout history, and Palpatine had perfected it over decades of practice. Number 8. Neither light nor dark. In the end, Darth Vader represents the ultimate failure of binary thinking in the Force. He couldn't be a Jedi because he couldn't let go of his attachments and accept the Order's philosophy of serenity. He couldn't be a Sith because he couldn't fully embrace passion without conscience or power without redemption. He existed in a tortured middle ground that satisfied neither philosophy and brought him nothing but pain. The prophecy of the Chosen One spoke of bringing balance to the Force, and perhaps that's exactly what Vader represented. Not balance as peace, but balance as conflict. The eternal struggle between light and dark made manifest in a single tortured soul. When he finally fulfills the prophecy by destroying Palpatine and himself in Return of the Jedi, it's not as a Jedi or a Sith, but as something else entirely. A father saving his son. That final act reveals the ultimate truth about Vader's failures. He couldn't be a true Sith because love still lived in his heart. He couldn't return to being a Jedi because the weight of his crimes was too great. But in that moment on the Death Star 2, watching Palpatine torture Luke, neither philosophy mattered. Anakin Skywalker, not Darth Vader, threw the Emperor down that reactor shaft, it wasn't an act of Sith betrayal or Jedi righteousness. It was simply a father's love, the very attachment both orders would condemn, that brought balance to the Force. The tragedy of Darth Vader isn't just that he fell from grace. It's that he spent over 2 decades as neither Jedi nor Sith, neither free nor truly enslaved, neither dead nor truly alive. He was, as Obi-Wan said, more machine than man. But even that's not quite right. He was less than both. A broken tool serving a master who designed him to be exactly that. His failure as a Sith and as a Jedi wasn't a bug in Palpatine's plan. It was the primary feature. If this deep dive into Vader's tragic duality hit you right in the feels, hit that hype button to help more Star Wars fans discover why the Chosen One became the galaxy's most failed Force user. May the Force be with you, always.